Dancehall Neil coming to you live and direct. I had a new video. I've been thinking about this one for a long time. This is going to be, oh yeah, you see that? I got a top 10 list for today. So this is top 10 jazz albums in my collection. I wasn't going to record this tonight because I didn't think, I didn't think I was going to be able to get 10 at first. But then, I went to listen to a couple and I was like, oh man, this is great. And I don't really know how many jazz records I have in my collection, really. I mean, 20, maybe 30, 35, 36, 37, I don't know. But an introduction into jazz for me came out of noise. I got into jazz. I always said I hated jazz through high school and even after graduating high school. I just thought of it as like a Kenny G kind of. I don't like smooth jazz. I hate that. Don't like it at all. But I equated that to jazz. What changed that was getting into more heavily into noise releases and Japanoise and harsh noise wall and noise core and stuff that was just noise. A lot of it was digital. Groups like Cock ESP, which actually got me to get my first jazz album, which was Time Lapse from Evan Parker, due to a sample in one of their tracks. Maybe I should grab that because that does seem fitting. Let me grab that. But let me see, ABC. There it is. That was this. But anyway, that's just gonna be like a short footnote in this list. Anyway, I got an Evan Parker time lapse shortly after that because the sample's about Evan Parker. The sample that Cock ESP used was like a radio excerpt of. See if I can even tell you the songs, the CD. What is it called? I don't know. I can't remember the exact one. I think it might be. I don't know. Might be original Cock 93, the first recording, but then I don't know if that would use the same. I don't know. Maybe it's Cockfight. I don't know. I'd have to listen to it. I haven't listened to this album in a couple of years. I'm going to be honest. Probably 2 or 3 years. But hey, I got well over 3,000 albums, so not everything can get a listen all the time. But it was definitely from this. This is greatest, Cock ESP's greatest Dicks. Like 93 to 96. Like I said, and then I didn't realize I had a jazz collection until I was when I was still living in Lakeland before I moved into this house. I was redoing my experimental section. I was calling it out music. Music that was out of the ordinary or out, different from everything that I had. And then I later changed that. What started as a noise section that I had in my collection, like 2005. I think I started that section, and then by 2010 it was like the out section, and then by 2013 it was just the experimental section. And that's what I have today, which is noise core and Japanoise and drone and jazz and noise rock and just anything that's like really far out. Um, I've started. I have old prog rock and a lot of krautrock rock records in there. That's got to be its own video. I've been getting a lot of prog and old krautrock rock records. They're just so crazy. Let me get to the list. I don't want to spend too much time babbling away here. These are not in any order. This is a top 10 list, but I do not do any kind of top 10s or top 50s or top 5s or top 3s in any order. You know, we did that with my favorite artists of all time. I couldn't put them in any order. Lee Scratch Perry, Genesis P. Ordridge, and G.G. Allen. I couldn't put them in any order. They've been huge for me in my life, you know. And they're all dead. They're all dead now. Wow. That's got to be another video. See, I just came up with like 3 other videos in my head right now. Just talking to this. But look, we're 6 minutes in, and I have not even talked about one jazz album, and we need to talk about 10. So let's, like I said, they're not in order. So let's just talk about the one that we were just talking about. Evan Parker's Time Lapse. That came from a sample used from Cock ESP. Here it is. Oh, CD. Time Lapse. Evan Parker. Love the Glare. Evan Parker. This is on... Well, who gives a shit about the label? But this is all just solo. And it's funny because... what are we getting this glare off of? Stuff that's behind it? I don't know, whatever. The important thing is, it's Time Lapse from Evan Parker. Boom. Evan Parker. Man, love Evan Parker. This was the first, not my first jazz album that I ever, this is very important though, not the first jazz album I ever bought. This is the first free improvisational jazz album I ever bought. And I chose this one because this is him solo layered. So this is saxophone layered on saxophone. This is how the tracks are. Saxophone layered on saxophone, layered on saxophone, layered on saxophone, layers, and that's it. And that's all that's there. So, I mean, this blew me away. Definitely blew me away on that. And this, by the way, this had just come out in 2006. That's when I bought it, when it came out. That's why it was on my radar. So let's talk about the second one. The first jazz album I ever bought, the first actual jazz album I ever bought, Miles Davis Bitches Brew. Double CD. You got some bonus tracks here. One bonus track. Phenomenal artwork, man. I mean, I remember getting this album pretty much on the recommendation of a friend, the friend being my partner in crime on this channel, which he'll be back soon. Mr. Old School Pat had that album, and I remember, I don't know how we got on the topic. I was looking through his stuff. We were looking for something to play or whatever years and years ago, and I was like, well, this is weird. Miles Davis. I knew who Miles Davis was, but I'm like, is this your only jazz album? Like, he was like, well, you know. He was like, I got that. Johnny Rotten listed it as one of his albums, one of his favorite albums, or like an album that he was really into. So I picked it up because, well, as Pat knows and as I know, Johnny Rotten is definitely a tastemaker, and he definitely has superb taste. I think he should have a YouTube channel where he talks about his record collection, talks about records and stuff. I'd subscribe to that. That would be my favorite channel. Do I think it'll ever happen? No, I think it never will, because it's something that would be cool. Too cool. It would be too cool. It would break the internet. Um, it would end civilization as we know it. Now, I mean, I digress. Uh, so it was and it wasn't like Pat was like, "Oh, you should go get that album" or anything. He was just like, he just told me why he had it, and he said it was a good album, and I don't even know if we even listened to it that night. But I bought it the next day, and I took it to my girlfriend's house, and her roommate was a trumpet player, um, and we sat up all night playing, and we must have played it half a dozen times, just drinking and just, I think he pulled out the trumpet and played a little bit, which is that was wild. That was a long time ago. I mean, so that was definitely my first jazz album. But again, I never bought that being like jazz. That's the thing. Like, I never started a jazz collection. I wasn't like jazz. I don't even like saying jazz. You know what I mean? Jazz. You want to hear some jazz, guys? You want to play some jazz? No. I wish it was just. That's why whenever I talk about jazz music, I say free improvisational jazz. Listen to some jazz. I don't care. I don't even really listen to really anything else. Except for like that album is not free improvisational. Sunra is not free improvisational. I listen to Farrah Sanders. I listen to some Albert Eiler. Those guys aren't necessarily free improvisational artists like Derek Bailey, like Evan Parker, like Jack Wright, like Peter Brodsman. But let's get back to the list, I guess. What are we at? Number 3. Good lord, I've already lost track. Like, I really hate to say this to you guys. Joe McPhee, Seattle Symphony. I found this album by accident a couple of years ago, and it has quickly became one of my favorites jazz records of all time that I have or that I've heard. This would be Joe McPhee, Seattle Symphony. Learn how to read. So like I said, I found this record by accident from the label down here. Kai Records. I don't know if it's Kai. I think it's Kai, I guess. Kai 40. This is Kai Records, okay? This is actually recorded Saturday, August 14th, 2010, live. This came out on Kai Records in 2017, so 5 years ago. I didn't buy this 5 years ago. I probably bought this 3 years ago. But like I said, I only had this album for a few years, and it just through the label. I don't remember. There's an experimental artist, and I cannot remember her name. But I don't want to get off on a tangent because I've already done that too much. There's a couple artists on that label that I liked, and I was going through their stuff. I believe on Discogs. I looked up the label Kai. I guess it's Kai, like Kye. I was looking up the label on Discogs and just looking at the releases. It was like one night I was just looking at all the releases. I was like, oh, they got a jazz record. That's interesting. I'm gonna just click on it and look at it. And I read about it, and I think I was able to listen to it a little bit. And I was like, this is really, 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 really good. Probably the best thing that they had put out on that label, this jazz record. So I had to get it, and I would suggest anybody at least listen to it. I don't know if you can look it up on YouTube. You probably can. Check it out. Joe McPhee, Seattle Symphony. I'm not super familiar with his work. I'm really not. So I don't know. I'm not gonna say go just get. It's not like it's like with Evan Parker. Just go eat eat, just listen to everything, get everything. Evan Parker's good from start to finish. I love everything Evan Parker did. Everything. Phenomenal. I can't tell you, I can't really tell you to do that with Joe McPhee because I don't know. I know this record is amazing, but I'm still not super familiar with this catalog yet, I guess. But this is a great, I have not put this away since I bought it. That's how good it is. So that takes us to the next album on the list, William Hooker. Actually, it is William Hooker. I just guessed on that. Boom. No, this is funny. I got this record. This was one of the last records I bought. That's actually not true. But this is definitely the last jazz record I bought for sure. William Hooker is Eternal Life. And I've shared this before, actually. I shared this on one of my last videos, and it was still sealed, and I hadn't even opened it yet. Well, I've listened to this since that video, probably a dozen times, a lot. Double record, first time ever being reissued. Very, very cool. This is actually the first really good drummer that has kind of led everything. Not the first. I do have a percussionist, which I'm not going to get into because he's not on the list, but he did have an album. But I wouldn't say that he was a great drummer. I wouldn't say he was a drummer. He's a just straight up percussionist. He did a free improvisational jazz album based on didgeridoo. I'm not going to talk about it. We'll talk about it in the future. I might run out of albums to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about an artist that's not on the list, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, this is cool. And like I said, this is the last jazz album that I actually bought, and it topped the list. And I didn't even want to put it on there because this is too new. I was like, I can't put it on there. But I've just been playing it nonstop. It's a great record. It's a meaty one. It is a meaty one. So I talked about Derek Bailey, I think. So we're just going to go ahead and show it. This is probably, I think this is one of the first Derek Bailey albums that I got. This is called Boom. This is Derek. I have to read it to you because I know everything's backwards because I need to look at myself while I'm trying to do this. I don't like doing it the other way. Fairly early Derek Bailey with postscripts. I was thinking about showing the very first Derek Bailey album I had was a four-way split with the feminist improvisation group Genesis P. Wardridge's Clume Transmissions. I think it was Derek Bailey, and it was who was it? Was it Stan Bingo? No, it wasn't Stan Bingo. Anyway, he was on that, and I remember listening to it, and I don't know, it was weird. I just was like, this is a really weird album. Did that put Derek Bailey on my radar? No, but should it had? Yeah. I was just so obsessed at the time. I bought this years ago. I think I was living in Lakeland, but I was just really trying to really pick apart that Coombs Transition performance. But Derek Bailey was on there, and I liked it. I really did like it, but it was almost like, it was just, I was so much trying to kind of pick apart certain things on that record that I feel like it took me a long time to get to the Derek Bailey part of that record. the true jazz part of that record. And I feel like I should show that record. Um, so let me do it because I know it's right here. Um, and a nice picture of Derek Bailey on the back. So let's show that, shall we? Derek Bailey, jazz, free improvisational jazz guitarist. So as you can see, we got, that's who it is. It's am I going crazy? Yeah, I guess I am. I'm totally thinking of something else. Anyway, yeah, he does side 4 of this 4-way split. So you got Derek Bailey, Coon Transmissions, Feminist Improvising Group. I've been saying that wrong for years. I was calling it Feminist Improvising Group. And then Max Eastley. Wow. So this is really cool though. Derek Bailey's side is acoustic. His is just like this. It's at I guess it's live from 1981, and the tracks are acoustic guitar, electric acoustic, chaotic, like just chaotic jazz. I mean, look at these guys. I mean, you know, they're just look like mild mannered like old white dudes, but then they get out there and it's just chaotic, man. It's like just, I don't know, man. It's chaotic. You gotta listen to some of these albums, man. It's crazy. It's noisy music void of all melody and rhythm. You know, most of these albums I'm showing you, they do not have any. They don't. If you're a sucker for a melody, don't buy it, don't play it, don't check any of this out because there is no melody, there is no rhythm. It's just, it is. Some people say, here's one thing I never understood. Free jazz, it's all about the notes you're not playing. I never understood that. Like I didn't. I was like, well, what about the notes that they are? You know. Maybe it's more about the notes that they're accidentally playing. What do you hear? You know, I always hated that. I still don't understand that. Listening to this kind of music for so long. It's all about the note. It's all about the notes they're not playing. I don't like that. I really don't. Everybody knows Sunra. Sunrose, Nothing Is. This is a funny one. Boom, Nothing Is from Sunra. Got this from a friend of mine. He was, this Sunra's cool. Another artist on this list, a lot like Miles Davis, in the fact that he's not a free improvisational artist. Miles Davis is not a free improvisational artist. Coltrane is not a free improvisational artist. They have free moments in their music, sometimes more than others. Artists like Evan Parker, Derek Bailey, Jack Wright, Peter Bronsman, they're free. They have free element. They are only free improvisation, only free improv. So there's a difference there. But I like the free improv, the stuff that's that way all the time. But I do want to keep it moving. I got that from a friend. I guess he was gearing up to go to college or whatever. He went to California. And I asked for that record if I could have it. And he was like, no, no, no. I was like, oh man, like come on, man. I don't want to say I begged, but I was like, are you really gonna take that with you to California? And when he realized he wasn't, excuse me, when he realized he wasn't, he gave it to me, and God bless him for it. I still have it. Um, George Lewis, the trombone. I'm sorry, the solo trombone record. George Lewis. Lewis. George Lewis solo trombone record. You likey what you see? Man. George Lewis. Love George Lewis. Great stuff on Black Saint. Black Saint and of course I'm gonna be brain farting. I don't this is awesome. This is not on Black Saint. This is on I don't even know what this is on. But he's got a lot of stuff on really good stuff on Black Saint Records. And what else can you say? How many jazz records have you heard with the trombone as the lead? Really? Who knows? I don't know, not me. But this is free jazz at its finest with the trombone in the lead, for sure. And I don't really know what else to say. But again, he's got albums that are more structured. So I would not put him in the category with Derek Bailey, or Evan Parker, or Jack Wright, or Peter Brotzman. I would not put him in that, or Anthony Braxton. Again, I don't want to get too far off of the list and artists that are on this list, but this album is far out, man. It is far out, and it's wild. And if you get it, you won't be disappointed. If you want to get into George Lewis stuff, trombone is the lead. Get this one. Speaking of Jack Wright, here's a really good Jack Wright album, As Is Jack Wright. This is recorded, track 1 is in Beirut, Lebanon. And track 2 is in Barcelona, Spain. Recorded in April 2006. This is a really fun record. I have a lot of the albums that I bought. I didn't buy this from him, but I bought a few albums from him. It was him and Ben Bennett. I do like Ben Bennett stuff, percussionist. He's a wild guy, real experimental, real out there. Yeah, I would say by Jack Wright, like Evan Parker, like Derek Bailey, like Anthony Braxton, like Peter Brotzman, is free improv all the time. Saxophone player, I've seen him live. Like I said, I bought all of the albums with him and Ben Bennett from him personally. I've seen him 3 or 4 times live in Newark, Delaware. Really want to see him again. He's just so fucking cool. I don't know if he's based out of New York or Philly, but I know it's one of the two. Very cool. He actually played, believe it or not, he played the night my son was born. Here we go. This one's chaotic. Peter Brotzman. Peter Brotzman, man. Machine Gun. Peter Brotzman Octet. I tried to turn on a lot of people to this album. It's hard as nails. This actually has Evan Parker on it. In the octet. Peter Brotzman is a maniac, man. His son actually plays music too, I believe, also in the similar genre. Yeah. Let's just say, who does drums on this? Who does the drums and percussion? But yeah, when I didn't know for a long time, even after I bought this, I've had two copies. This is my second copy of this. I have different copies, two different versions of this. The same version, two copies, different formats. I did not know that Evan Parker was even in it uh, for a while. I mean, it's so cool. Anyway, for this list, for sure, when it comes to the most chaotic, hard core free improvisational jazz album, that one is the hardest and the most chaotic, I would say, as a band, because you're not just getting saxophone. Saxophone is, it's not like just, soprano and alto saxophone assaults or layered saxophone assaults. What you're getting is a full band assault. And after you listen to Machine Gun from Peter Brotzman Octet, you will definitely feel like you have been assaulted. Let's take it to the last one, number 10, while we still have a couple of minutes left here, because I don't want to get cut off, and I know I think I have only a couple minutes of rolling time. Marion Brown, Afternoon of a Georgia Phone. Right, Afternoon of a Georgia Phone, right? You're going to put that on. You might think it's nice smooth jazz, or like some bop jazz, hard bop jazz. It's a little hard. No siree, Bob. I'm holding out for the LP. I want to buy the LP, so don't yell at me. Don't yell at me for showing this, but I'm gonna show it. CDR. That's right. I recorded it. I'm a fraud. I'm a fraud on my Maxwell colored discs. Christmas is coming up, right? Guys, Christmas is coming up. So you know what, Mr. Dancehall Neil. You know you can get Dancehall Neil. You get an LP copy of Marion Brown, Afternoon of a Georgia Phone. So you didn't have to have the CDR. This dirty CDR. Ugh. Great album. 2 tracks. It's a gentle assault. Very free, very chaotic, very noisy.